Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Zenaton, and welcome to today's video for Legends of Runeterra. Today we're going to be looking at a new card. I guess a new champion, and a new set of cards, really. Support cards for the champion. Today we're going to be looking at Jayce. Little mini expansion, mini release, whatever you want to call it. But we got Jayce, kind of like the Aphelios release, where Aphelios was released and he had a bunch of support cards. Jayce is going to be released, and he has a lot of support cards. So, all PNZ cards. No cards in other regions, like no Demacia card, no Bandlewood City card, Bilgewater, etc., etc. Everything here is a PNZ card that is meant to have synergy with Jayce in some form, but that doesn't mean these cards can't be used for other champions. And in all honesty, I think certain cards here that will be spoiled, or shown today, work even better with champions that are not Jayce. So, enough talking about Jayce and the other cards. Why don't we look at Jayce and talk about him? So, Jayce. I'll be honest with you, my overall reaction to Jayce is kind of a little lukewarm. I don't think he's the worst card ever, but I do not think this is going to be a case of like Aphelios or maybe an action even. I feel like I don't think Jayce is going to be the weakest champion in the game. But yeah, I don't feel like Jayce is going to be like it's going to be a similar release to when Aphelios was released, where everyone was playing Aphelios, Aphelios was busted, and Aphelios had to get nerfed like crazy, and now Aphelios is garbage. But what does he do? Jayce is a 4-mana 4/4 PNZ champion. When you play Jayce, you can choose to give him Quick Attack or Challenger. That already is fine. If this was just a regular non-champion follower, this would be a great card. 4-mana 4/4 that can be either a Quick Attack or have Quick Attack or have Challenger. Pretty solid card. The problem is, when you're deciding on champions, since you're limited to how many champions you can play in a deck, you need more than just a solid card. So, what else does Jayce do? Well, first off, that's all he does at level 1. He's either a 4-mana 4/4 Quick Attack or a 4-mana 4/4 Challenger. To level up Jayce, you have to cast 2 6+ cost spells, and when he levels up, you get an Acceleration Gate in hand. Kind of tough to level him up early. I feel like on average, you'll level up Jayce in a dedicated Jayce deck on around turn 6, turn 7, maybe? Before we look at level 2 Jayce, let's look at Acceleration Gate real quick. Acceleration Gate is a 6-mana slow spell. Give your allies +2/+0 and Quick Attack this round. If they already have it, Quick Attack that is, give them a random keyword instead. So this is a temporary buff. Kind of sad about that, but whatever. You're getting the card for free, so it's fine that it's not a great card. Also, it seems like there's no rarity gem at the bottom, so you can't actually put this card in your deck. The only way to get it is through Jayce himself. So that's just a quick thing to keep in mind. Now, leveled up Jayce. This is where the potential starts. When Jayce levels up, he's still a 4-mana 5/5. Still has the playability of getting Quick Attack or Challenger. However, now, each round, the first time you cast a 6-cost spell, cast it again on the same target. So, the way it's worded, Jayce should copy a spell even if it doesn't target. So, Acceleration Gate should get copied. So, Acceleration Gate will be a 6-mana +4/+0, give everyone Quick Attack, and then they get a random keyword as well. And if they have Quick Attack already, they'll get 2 random keywords, I guess. That's a powerful ability. And I've seen a lot of people say, this is really strong if Jayce levels up. Here's the thing, though. A lot of champions are strong. You can't just look at a champion and be like, it's strong if they level up. If a champion is strong if they level up, you have to look at 2 things. 1, how easy is it to level them up? And 2, how good or how bad are they before they level up? A good example of this is before the nerf, Nami. Nami was insanely good when they leveled up. Nami was also real easy to level up. Another champion who's good when they level up, but you don't see much play because it's kind of just a bad overall deck. Yasuo. Yasuo is really strong when he levels up. The problem with Yasuo is, well, there's a lot. There's too many to list off here for now. So, is Jayce good? I don't think so. Before we talk too much about him, let's talk about his champ spell too, Shock Blast. Shock Blast is a 6-mana slow speed spell. Already not liking it, but it has some synergy with him. Helps him level up. 6-mana slow speed spell. Deal 3 to an enemy or the enemy nexus, and 3 to another. So it's static shock at slow speed for more mana that gives you more damage, but you don't get a card draw. This is not an impressive spell. This is a bad spell. I don't think this is a card you will ever play in your deck. I don't think you are going to be building a deck and think to yourself, you know what I really need? Shock Blast in my deck. However, as a chance spell, it's solid, I think. Much better than, say, like, Poppy's champ spell. Really going along with the theme that Riot's been doing for the past few champ releases, where their spell is kind of mediocre, but it's not that bad as a champ spell. Of course, there are some exceptions, like Xerath and Tristana have good spells that are their champ spells. So yeah, I don't think this is a card you will play in your deck, but I think it's a solid card for a champ spell for Jayce. So yeah, helps you reach that 6+ spell critical mass. But again, don't play this in your deck, is what I think. Also, pretty solid spell to duplicate with Jayce, which makes sense. It's his champion spell, so you'd assume it's good. Anyway, Jayce himself. I like him. I'm not confident he's going to be strong, but I like the overall stuff going around with Jayce. The issue I have is, in PNZ, what kind of deck wants to play Jayce? I feel like for just a general champion who just goes into a lot of decks, I'd rather play champs like Ezreal or Vi most of the time. Sure, a lot of people are saying like, oh, Jayce is kind of like Vi, but he comes down a turn earlier and he doesn't need you to play other cards. Look, the thing about Vi is having to play a couple of extra cards to get her to become a 4/4 challenger. It's not that bad. It's not hard at all. Plus, Vi, another big reason why Vi is so good is she can get rid of really, really big things. Vi can kill a Gangplank. Jayce can't kill a Gangplank, etc., etc. Vi can, in theory, even kill Aurelion Soul. What else is big that Vi can kill that Jayce can't? Shellfolk. Shellfolk's a pretty popular card right now. Vi can kill Shellfolk. Jayce can't, without help, of course. But yeah, you are basically, and also Vi has tough, Jayce doesn't, and having tough is actually really, really high value, as we've seen from Stone Stackers before it got nerfed. So, I don't know. Quick attack is nice. It lets him like attack in with very little risk, so it helps you if you want to try and push in tempo. While Challenger does let you try to let Jayce do his best Vi impersonation and remove scary stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like most of the time I'd rather just have Vi or Ezreal. So in this situation, this means we need to level up Jayce, or at least try to level up Jayce, right? If Vi is mostly going to be better than Jayce, I'd say like 9 out of 10 times. Is that good? Is that easy? To level him up, you need to cast 2 6 or more mana spells. Jayce doesn't need to see those, thankfully, so that's the first good thing. That's what makes it possible that you can actually level him up, not an impossible level up condition. Say like I don't know, can't think of anyone at the moment really, like a Poppy level up or something. Poppy's hard to level up. So I do think Jayce will have a deck. I just don't think he's going to be as general of a champion as, say, like, I don't know, Vi or Poppy. Really? Like, Poppy is just in a lot of stuff, so probably not a good example, because Poppy needs to get nerfed, but whatever. So we got to do one thing now with Jayce. If we are building a Jayce deck, we need to hit a critical mass of 6 cost spells. How many that is, Someone smarter than me will probably do the math and feel like, oh, we need like a six cost or more spells, etc., etc. Now, granted, once Jayce levels up, he is like a pseudo karma for 6 cost spells, and he only works once per turn, but whatever. And that is a big restriction, but a deck built around Jayce, especially leveling him up, should be able to leverage a lot of value out of a leveled up Jayce, so I think it's fine. And unlike, say, Karma, you don't have to wait till turn 10 to, get the level up, which is one of the reasons why a card like Shellfolk is so good and a card like Karma is so bad. Games very rarely last turn 10. It's hard to play Karma. Karma's really fragile too. Only has 4 health when she levels, 3 before she does. While a card like Shellfolk has 6 health, comes down on turn 6. Jayce has more health than Karma, and he comes down earlier. So I like it. Right away, on the top of my head, I can think of 3 champions that pair, I don't know if I want to say well, but can pair decently with Jayce. Lux, the one that everyone thought of when they first saw Jayce. Heimerdinger. And third is Senna. Now, I like pairing with Heimerdinger. I don't think that's going to be good, but I like Heimerdinger. I think Heimerdinger is a little underrated, especially after his buff to being a 2/4. I also like pairing Jayce with Lux, but I don't feel like Demacia PNZ is a good region combination at the moment. I know that Ezreal Lux was a thing a long, long time ago. I just don't think it's going to be a thing now. But like I was saying, the reason I like Jayce with Heimer is because you can get a second region, because that will just be, you are just a PNZ deck. You can get Ionia, Targon, Bandle City, Village Water, Freljord, etc., etc. Whatever you want as your second region. So I could go into Ionia to get Eye of the Dragon. Because what is one of the weaknesses that's really, really, really bad for PNZ? Healing. They don't have healing. They always either need to just say, I need my secondary region to have healing, or I'm just not going to have healing, and every point of damage is going to be permanent, but I have a good, strong win con that wins it around a certain turn, like turn 8, turn 10, etc., etc., or I can win really fast with something, say, like Ezreal, or Glorious Evolution Poro Cannon or something. And Jayce kind of does that. Acceleration Gate is kind of meant to be as a finisher, but I don't know. You can just chump it. Like, that's the problem. You can just chump all the things, because sure, the second casting of Acceleration Gate, if you have a level up Jayce, gives you random keywords, so you might get things like Overwhelm, Fearsome, Elusive, etc., etc., but it's not consistent. And consistency is one of the things you want the most with decks and deck building in general. But overall, I don't know, closing words on Jayce. He's got a solid stat line. 4 mana, 4/4 is fine. Little sad that it's he dies to Ravenous Flock, but whatever. Versatility and being able to choose either if he wants Quick Attack or Challenger is nice. We've seen cards like this in other card games like Hearthstone, where Druid had all those cards where they could choose one form or the other. And a lot of the time they're very powerful because of the versatility. So that's a good step in the right direction for Jayce, just being able to be like, oh, I'd like a Quick Attack here to push in some extra pressure. I'd like a Challenger here to try and remove some annoying stuff. I feel like most of the time you're just going to take Challenger anyway, though. But yeah, solid stat line, good playability on level 1, and level 2, extremely powerful passive ability with the doubling of spells. Kind of a weak champ spell, but not terrible. And Acceleration Gate, while it's a bad card, you get it for free. So, yeah, like I said earlier, I don't think Jayce is unplayable and bad. I just am not too high up on him. He's definitely not a flexible champion who can go into a lot of decks, like, say, a Poppy or an Ezreal or a Vi or a TF even. He has a bit of a expensive deck building cost, to put it, in that you have to have a lot of expensive spells in his deck. So, like I said, only a few decks I think will actually want him. And like I said earlier, Just for me, Senna, Heimerdinger, and Lux are the three I can think of right away. So yeah, like early on you can play, like for example with Jayce Lux, you can go and play like Remembrance early. Judgment, since you're in Demacia, is nice. I can't really think of anything else. Progress Day is really cute too with Jayce. So that's another reason why I kind of like it with Heimer. Heimerdinger's champ spell is Progress Day as well. Getting double Progress Day is insane value. Maybe you can pair Jayce Heimer with Bandle City. You get access to Mini Morph as well, another expensive spell. So yeah, I could definitely see some potential here. Anyway, though, we got 2 more pages of cards, so enough talking about Jayce. Let's look at those other cards as well, because there are some really good ones that I think can go in decks that are not even Jayce related. So, first off, Forge Chief. 1 mana, 2/1, strike, refill 1 spell mana. Very simple card here. I like the card. I don't think it's a good card. So, it's, I can't remember the name of the card. Hold on. This is going to bother me now because I can't remember it. But it's that Bilgewater 1-drop. That's, that it's a 1 mana 2/1 with a tune. So it reminds me of that card. I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of it. Shell Shocker. That's it. Shell Shocker is a 1 mana 2/1 with a tune. Forge Chief is a 1 mana 2/1 strike, refill 1 spell mana. So unlike with Shell Shocker, Forge Chief actually has to strike first. So, you know, you can get basically screwed over by your opponent playing a removal spell. Like a Pokey Stick, for example. And you just played a 1 mana 2/1 and you're sad. Now, she does have a higher upside than Shell Shocker if she gets, like, say, well, just 2 strikes. If she gets 2 strikes, she's giving you more value than Shell Shocker. Here's the problem. Shell Shocker has seen very little play in Constructed. It's seen a little bit of play in decks like Scouts and other things, and I know a lot of people tried it with Nami when Nami first came out, but not that much, not too much play for the good old Shell Shocker. Now, I will say this, though. Compared to Shell Shocker, PNZ is a region that cares more about spell mana early, I'd say. But I just don't know. I feel like this is... Forge Chief is going to be more for a deck that will play Jayce, but wants to play really, really aggressively, and is using Jayce as a 4 mana 4/4 quick attack for the most of the time. Now, we have seen some aggressive PNZ decks arise. I just don't know if it's gonna be good enough. Pretty bad top deck kind of card too, so yeah. But there is a lot of... There's a very high ceiling on this card. Just lets you just keep getting strikes. You use that extra mana you're gaining to just outpace your opponent. So, seems good. Just not sure if it's good enough. And if you're able to get at least 1 strike, it's fine. So then you can play Forge Chief, get a strike, and then it's like you didn't pay mana at all, so you're still banking mana to use a 6 mana spell on turn 3 anyway, so that's pretty good. There's also that 2 mana 2/1 in PNZ that refills 2 spell mana when you play it. That could be a thing you could try out too. Don't think you should play too many bad cards like that, but try for it. Now, the next card. This is the card I think that is arguably the best card out of all the cards spoiled. Pharaoh's Financier. I don't think this is insane, busted, and might need to get nerfed, but I do think this is extremely powerful. Pharaoh's Financier is a 2 mana 2/2. When you play him, manifest a 6 mana or higher cost spell from your regions. It's basically a reverse Shellfolk. I don't think this card is as good as Shellfolk because I think there's a lot higher chance that you will hit some duds because the expensive spells suite is much worse than the cheap spell suite that Conchologist pulls from in most regions. Pretty much all regions, I'd say. But I can see this. It's a 2 mana 2/2, solid stat line, as we've all learned now from Conchologist. Doesn't get pinged down to something like Make It Rain, which is one of the reasons why, while it's still a good card, Telescope sometimes gets cut. So yeah, I think it'll be a 3 of definitely in certain decks. Kind of lets you play more expensive spells without actually playing them. Because it's manifest and not just generating it randomly like that 1 mana Mage Seeker. You're usually not gonna whiff too often because there's usually at least one thing that's decent. So I like this. Very powerful. We know the manifest keyword is powerful, so good card. Next card. This one I have a lot of hope for, and I honestly think this one is a candidate for the strongest card released as well. I know I just said that was true for Financier, but I think Hextech Handler is also a candidate for the strongest card released. Hextech Handler is a 3-mana 3/2 tech card with quick attack. This card says, grant tech allies everywhere +1/+1 once you've cast a 6-cost spell this game. So all you have to do is you can either play it out and then cast a 6-mana spell, or wait until you cast a 6-mana spell before you play it in case you're scared of something like Mystic Shots or Avalanches. At the moment, tech is pretty much limited to Heimerdinger only. There's also the Adaptatron 3000 or whatever it's called, but this thing, Hextech Handler and Adaptatron 3000, are the only tech cards. Now, I think we have a change to Heimerdinger coming as well, where at the moment, Heimerdinger only levels up if he's seen you play summon 12 plus power of turrets. I believe they're changing it, so Heimerdinger will level up if he sees, it's gonna not be tied to turrets anymore. He just needs to see you summon 12 plus power of tech instead. So that's not a big change because the turrets are tech, but this lets Hextech Handler and Adaptatron now can help to level up Heimerdinger. So that's nice. But yeah, I think this card is really good. Just one getting played is huge. Having your turrets not get killed by, say, like a Withering Whale or just pings in general is insane. And then the second one keeps them safe from things like avalanches and Mystic Shots, really. So yeah, really good card. Kind of slow, though. I will say that we're in a very fast meta, and this card is pretty slow. Kind of scary to play this on the field before it's active, especially against certain regions like PNZ because of Mystic Shot. But I like it, and I do think this card might be good enough to make Heimerdinger meta viable. Next up, Pharaoh Skycruiser. 4-mana 2/4 elusive. Okay, stat line for a cost. Good keyword, though. Grant me +2/+0 once you've cast a 6-cost spell this game. So this card, I don't know about. When I saw this card, I thought to myself, oh, Swole Scout. Swole Scout, if you don't remember, is the 4-mana 3/2 in Bandle City that says, when I'm summoned, if you've added 2+ cards to your hand this round, he gets +1/+0 and elusive. This is much better than Swole Scout. Sure, you might say, well, streamer, Swole Scout is a garbage card. Of course, I'm just using it because it's very similar, because they're both 4-mana elusive cards in theory. First off, one of the reasons why Swole Scout is bad, kind of hard to activate its ability, and very small health pool for a 4-drop. 2 health for a 4-drop, that's awful. And then you got TF, of course. But this thing always has elusive, has a good health pool, hard to remove. 4 health is kind of hard to remove outside of things like, what, Ravenous Flock? And in my opinion, the big thing is not having to get activated before you summon it. You can summon it and then play the 6-mana spell to get +2/+0. But here's the other issue. What deck wants to play this? 4-mana, like, think about it. 4-mana 4/4, assuming you always activate this easily. 4-mana 4/4 elusive, I'd play that card so much. I just don't know what deck wants to play this is the thing. Because if you're playing elusives, like this card, you want to be pressuring your opponent, right? What deck is both playing 6+ mana spells, pressuring your opponent at the same time? Maybe that, like, aggressive Jayce deck that would make Jayce quick attack that would also use Forge Chief kind of deck, perhaps. But I don't know. I don't think this card, at the moment, I don't think this card is good enough for constructed play. I just don't think the deck that would like this card exists yet, but I can see a lot of potential, and it is a very scary deck. So it's a card I don't think is good, but it's a card that I'm going to keep in the back of my mind as this is a scary card. This card is asking to be put into a deck that can be busted with the right synergies, the right 6-mana cost spells. Now the next card, Albus Pharos. 7 mana, 6/5 with quick attack. Okay, not bad stats, and quick attack's pretty solid. When I'm summoned, draw Jayce. So he's a boat for Jayce. Kind of like but a boat that's not a boat, kind of like King Jarvan, J3. When this guy attacks, deal 1 to the enemy Nexus. Okay. And then for each 6+ cost spell you've cast this game, increase it by 1. That's fine, but not great. When I first saw this guy, I misread him, and I thought he was like working like a Sumpworks posse, and I thought he was hitting everything on the field, everything on the opponent's side of the field. And then I reread it, and I saw that it only hits Nexus, and I was like, this is much worse than I thought he was. At first, I was like, this card is insane. You will play 3 of these. Wow, this card's busted. And then I reread it, and I'm like, oh, wow, this card kind of sucks. You have to remember, it is a good card. Don't get me wrong. It is a good card in a vacuum. The problem is, cards that cost 6 or more mana, in my opinion, have to do very big things, especially with how fast the meta is at the moment. Albus Pharos is not doing that big of a thing. Sure, you might say like, oh, well, he helps you find your Jayce. Sure, but a late game Jayce isn't that great. I guess if you haven't drawn the first Jayce and you've leveled up Jayce already, sure, but yeah, like, he's not fighting for the board well. You can just chump him, really. He doesn't have anything like fearsome, elusive, or overwhelm. So, sure, he's going to get a little few pings off on the Nexus, but your opponent can just chump him if they're scared of the 6 damage as well. Cute combo, I guess, with Dawn and Dusk if you have Jayce on the field. Like, you have Jayce, you play Albus Pharos, you play Dawn and Dusk. That's what, like 5 Albus Pharoses then? Because you can't put 6 units... You're 7 units on the field because you got Jayce and then 5 Albus Pharoses. Like, that's cute, and honestly, I could see that. I'm ready to see that combo in some YouTuber's video, but that's a meme. So, yeah. I don't know. I just think my problem is I think he just comes down a turn too late. If this guy was 6 mana, I'd be a little happier, but 7 mana is just a little too much for me. I'd rather be doing other game-winning kind of stuff. So yeah, just a little too expensive for me. Now then, last page. Also, we can see the skill itself, Pharos' Dividend. So, whatever. Landmark. We got a landmark here. The Forge of Tomorrow. 3 mana landmark. When I'm summoned, summon a Forge Worker. When you cast a 6+ cost spell, destroy me and refill your spell mana. Good card in a vacuum. Like, looking at it by itself, good card. 3 mana, 3/3, very on curve stats, very fine. As we can see there next to it, Forge Worker is just a vanilla 3/3 for 3. The strength of this card is you're able to play this, and then when you play your 6 mana spell, you get a half of your mana back, or less, not half if you're playing like, I don't know, an 8 mana spell, but whatever, you get what I'm saying. The issue is, I think, 2 reasons. One, this seems like a low impact card. And we are limited to 40 cards in a deck, and low impact cards are usually one of the first cards to get cut, so I could see this being like only a 1 or a 2 of. It's really nice on curve, like on turn 3. But outside of that, like, this is a pretty bad card to top deck. Sure, it's a landmark, so maybe there's some weird like Talia, Ziggs, maybe a Malphite deck that wants this, but I don't think so. So yeah, I've seen a lot of people think this card's great. I don't really see it. Like I see their reasoning, but I don't agree necessarily with a lot of people's reasoning on why Forge of Tomorrow is great. So yeah, I don't know. It's like in theory, let me think. Like turn 1, bank a mana. Turn 2, bank a mana. I'll have 6 mana on turn 3. Turn 3, I'll play Forge of Tomorrow, and then I'll have a 3 mana 3/3. That's really, really, really slow. And then turn 4, I'll play something like Remembrance, and because I have Forge of Tomorrow out, it technically only cost me 3. I had 7 mana that turn, 4 regular, 3 spell mana. I used the 3 spell mana, or sorry, I used my mana, and I'll get 3 spell mana back, so I'll have 1 regular mana and 3 spell mana. Is that good? Like, that seems... that's probably, like, one of the more powerful things you can do with Forge of Tomorrow. And that doesn't even seem that good. That seems slow, and it seems clunky, in my opinion. But it is cute. And probably, like, I'm ready to be wrong on this completely. I could see myself being completely wrong and this card being really strong, but I just don't think it's a 3 of. I don't think it's that good. Next card, Assembly Line. This card's bad. Well, it's not terrible. I was just talking about Remembrance, and I could see this being like PNZ style Remembrance, where it's like less RNG of Remembrance, so you can't really high roll and get, say, like a Screeching Dragon. But for the 6+ mana archetype, this does a job, and it does it decently. So we know Forge Workers are 3/3s for 3. So 6 mana slow speed, summon 2 Forge Workers. Getting 2 units for 1 priority action is pretty good, as evidenced by things like House Spider and the 2 mana 2/1 Mirai. And this does give you like half of a Jayce level up, but in my opinion, I don't think you'll play 3 of these. I think you'll play like 1 to 2, depending on like how many 6 mana spells you have in your deck. I don't know. I like the card though. I think it's fine. Also lets you get a wide-ish board for Jayce's acceleration gate, so that's pretty cool. I like that. But yeah, this card is definitely a card that I think is mostly going to be limited towards Expedition and Expedition Jayce decks, but I could see myself playing 1 to 2 of these in Jayce decks because, you know, it costs 6 mana, so it helps Jayce out. But yeah, this is not a staple card, in my opinion, for Jayce decks, but I can see it being played. Helps you slow down the game so you can cast more spells. And the last card. I don't think I have to talk too much about this last card. Hextech Anomaly. 6 mana focus speed spell. When you draw, create me in hand or each round start. While I'm in your hand, transform me into a random 6-cost spell. So you draw this card and it transforms into a random 6-cost spell. I've seen people say, like, why is this even a spell if it just transforms right away? There are certain cards that matter that that this thing's a spell and not, say, like a landmark or follower or whatever. And it does matter that it's at focus speed because of things like Scattered Pod. If this was, say, like a slow speed spell, Scattered Pod could be used to tutor this up. Scattered Pod can only get slow, fast, and burst spells, so Scattered Pod couldn't tutor this up. I have to assume that's one of the reasons why it's at focus speed. As for the card itself, I don't know why you would ever play this card. This card is literally just a meme. Other card games have made cards like this. Again, we'll use Hearthstone as the example. We have seen Shifter Xeris and Shifting Scroll. Shifter Xeris was a unit version of this, and Shifting Scroll was the spell-based version of this. Neither of them saw a lot of play in Hearthstone. I know some people played like a 1 of Xeris because it was fun, but no competitive players really played too much Shifter Xeris and Shifting Scroll. I can't remember if Shifting Scroll saw play. I wasn't really playing that much Hearthstone back then. So yeah, I don't think you will play this. Sure, it's a little less RNG than those other cards I just mentioned because it's always a 6 mana spell or higher, but again, I just don't know why you would play this. Too inconsistent. It's slow, and while it can, like, RNG you will win by transforming into, say, like a Field Rush, I don't think it's worth it. But yeah, that is one of the strengths of it, is that it's not limited to what it can transform into by the regions you're in. It could transform into any 6 mana more spell. But yeah, it's just a meme. Don't play this card unless you're trying to make a fun meme deck just for fun. And with that said and done, that's all the cards that will be released that are spoiled. And yeah, some good cards. Really, really big fan of some of them. A big fan of Pharaoh's Financier. Really, really big fan of the Hextech Handler. Like him. And I'm not a big fan of Jayce, but I like him. He seems cool. So yeah. Good times. Overall, solid cards. Some decent stuff here that I think will find their way into the meta. I don't think any of these cards or Jayce himself will be able to topple any of the current tier 1 decks. I just don't really see it. Jayce Shellfolk might be a thing because like we all know Vi Shellfolk with either Ezreal or no Ezreal or something else is a thing. So some people might try out like Jayce Shellfolk, maybe even Jayce Vi Shellfolk instead. I could see that happening. I'll be one of the people to try it. So yeah, that's all. Hope you guys liked the video. I would love to hear your opinions on Jayce as well. Love to just like hear it, like any feedback, how you would build Jayce yourself. If you have any ideas you would love to share, I'm all ears and would love to see some comments down below about what you think about the guy and any kind of decks he can go and what kind of champions he pairs with. Anyway, though, with that all said and done, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it. And if you could, please leave a like or a comment down below. It always helps me out, of course. And if you guys want to keep up with the Legends of Runeterra content, you can always go and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to watch me play some Legends of Runeterra, you can go over and check me out over on twitch.tv, where I stream pretty much every single day over at twitch.tv/Zenaton. Anyway, though, with that all said and done, thank you all once more for watching this video. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!